morning and welcome everybody to this session of mFiles Quick Tips. Today we'll be exploring searching within the new interface. Before I go too far and get into my agenda, I would like to just quickly have a show of hands if you can hear my voice. So if you can raise your hand if you can hear my voice, that will let me know that we are good to move forward. So just raise your hand if you can hear me. It's always a good idea to make sure the audio is working before we get too far. Awesome. Hit your hand again and that will lower that. Okay, let's get started with today's topic. I'm going to be covering basic search inside of the new interface. Also, how to add filters, how to remove filters, and searching within a view. Let's actually get started here. Okay, let me minimize this. And let's get started with mFiles. Let me do one more thing here real quickly. Perfect. Okay, so located right up at the top is going to be your search window. And you can see it starts with entire vault. Now you'll notice that that is grayed out. I'll explain that a little bit later. When you go into the search window, you click once in that window and it expands, showing you more choices. Let's take a look at what our choices are. We have recent searches, so obviously what you've done in the past. Then over to the right, you have add filters. Now this is an area that is probably going to be changing the most in the future or with each new release that mFiles gives us. Currently right now, it's giving you suggestions, and these are suggestions coming from mFiles on additional filters, that you can add to your search. Down below, it's then showing what filters are applied, and then obviously the search button. So let's get started. I'm going to start with basic search. So I'm going to do bikes. Now, when I click on search, it's going to return a lot of information. Other quick item to point out here is you notice over here to the far left, this used to be on the right side of the screen. These are additional filters that can be applied. If we expand the scope, this is where your metadata card as well as file content right now is searching both. If I want to limit that, I would put a check mark in that area. Let's take a look at object type. If I expand this, you can see some of the object types and there's show more. So these are all the different object types that I have in my vault. I'm going to mark the one that says document. Notice that my search results changed immediately, and right up above here you see a blue box showing that I have a filter in place as well as a number 1 over here. Now what if I wanted to add more to that filter? If I go back to the search box, you'll notice that mFiles returns some filters it was recommending. The one I'm going to add is the vendor object Victory Bikes. So I'm going to select that, and notice it's added down here at the bottom. You can add as many of these filters as you want from what mFiles suggests. Now up in my search bar, I'm going to add the word bikes again. So I'm basic searching on bikes. I have a filter down below for vendor object Victory Bikes, and then I also on the side I have an object type filter of document. Let me do my search. Return the following information. If you forget, again, the filters being applied, you can see them right up here at the top, as well as a telltale to let you know you have filters in play. When I select my vendor, we can see that it is a document and that the vendor object is Victory Bikes. Pretty cool. Now those mFiles suggestions, may not always be what you want. I know that they're going to be adding more control there in the future, but right now you just get what mFiles provides you. As we take a look at these filters, if I want to remove a filter, how do I do that? You notice that there's an X next to each one of these filters. I could also go over here and unmark document or click on clear filters. I also have the same functionality. If I go back into search, I can clear selected filters as well. So these filters down at the bottom that I apply will stay in play for everything that I search up above. Pretty cool. Now, if I want to remove all the filters at once and start with a clean slate, like I want to do, it's as simple as going back to all. My filters have been cleaned out. I can go back to my search and I can see everything is clean. Quick note, if you do want to clear out your recent searches, that's done here at the bottom. Okay, let's explore something else here. So I'm going to take a look at going into a view. So if I go into this view called pictures, double click, notice now the entire vault is no longer grayed out. It's now available. So when I click here, I can tell mFiles how I want it to search. Do I want it to search the entire vault, or do I want to limit its search to the current view? So I'm going to limit the search to the current view. Now, when I go into my search bar, I'm going to select for my basic search, I'm going to type in John. Now I can see what mFiles is giving me for additional filters, and I want to use the one that says picture taken by John Smith. Now, before I did that in two separate steps, but you can do it all together. Now, when I click on search, number one, it's searching within the view. Number two, we have a filter, pictures taken by John Smith, and John as a filter. Let's go. It returned 2 items. When I click on the first flower, we can see it as a picture. So that's in my picture view. The name's flower was taken by John Smith, and it's a daisy, yellow. Just a quick reminder, you control the different views that you're seeing here over in the very far right by clicking on preview or metadata. So now mine are active. Take a look at the other document, and you can see again, it's a picture, which is in my picture view. And this is a nice red flower. Don't know what kind of flower that is. And again, it was taken by John Smith. Pretty slick. I'm going to click all. That clears out my filters and starts clean. I'm going to go back to my search here, and I'm going to clear out my recent searches. That clears out the one for bikes. So pretty straightforward. Again, I do understand though that some of this stuff is a little limited. Just remember that you do have choices. Let's take a look at our PowerPoint again, because I do want to talk about a couple other things that are available when you're searching. You have wildcards. Wildcards are something that are underused. If you want to learn more about your wildcards, you can go into the mFiles online help and type in basic search, and you will get some of this information returned. You have an exact match if you use the quotation marks. Any character replacement. When I say character, I'm just meaning a letter, and that's with the question mark. So the question mark becomes a placeholder. Any digit is the pound sign. And then if you want it wide open afterwards, you can use the asterisk. Do be prepared when you use the asterisk, that you could get a result saying that mFiles is saying that that's too large of a search. As a quick reminder, you are currently have available to you the new interface from mFiles. So what mFiles is doing with this release going forward, I should say from October and going forward, is mFiles is two interfaces with each release. You have the new UI and you have what we call the classic, what you're used to seeing today. If you want to see the new UI, you need to be using the new protocol of gRPC. If you need to know more information about that protocol or what mFiles has planned for the future, you can send me your first and last name and your email in the chat window. And after today's webinar, I will send out a little informational email with some links to some important documentation that mFiles has on setting up the new protocol, as well as some of the features that are included in the new interface and features that are not. What I'd like to do at this point is open it up for some questions. And I did have one come in right here. Where is the advanced search? Wow, great question. Let me go back to my mFiles here. So they're absolutely correct. The advanced search is not available. Now, right now in the new interface, they're giving you sort of a taste of that with those filters appearing when you type in the basic search, then mFiles returns some suggested filters, but you can't control that yet. Now, if that's something where you want to get back into that advanced search, please remember that you can switch from new to old. Now, when I do this, something else appears as well. mFiles wants to know, why do you need to switch back to the classic view? What wasn't there? Is it a problem? Was it a missing feature? Let them know. The more feedback we give them, the better they're going to make the new interface for you. Now I'm going to skip this right now. And what happens is my interface switches. Now I'm in the classic view and I can go and do my advanced search like I'm used to. Great question. Did that answer that? Great. Okay, we had another question come in here. Let me switch back here. Switch back to the new view. There we go. The next question is where's the left panel that allows me to change the state as an admin and see history? Oh, great question. So if I understand the question correctly, they're looking for that task pane that's on the left side. And what that does for is it shows workflow. Now, right now, mFiles is trying to understand how they're going to do that. So because what it's impacting is the new interface is going to mirror what you see in the web interface. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to do that. The quick answer to the question is right now is if I go to assign to me, I have a applications. Now down here at the bottom is listing the state that that application is in. So if I click here, I can select the next state to move it to. Oh, I see a follow-up to that question. I didn't read far enough. I apologize. So that's the first part. You can change the workflow or advance it to the next state by the bottom of the metadata card. Let me go back to that. The other part of it was dealing with history. Great question. What mFiles has actually done is they've added history. Let me analyze this now. I'm going to talk myself into a corner. I did. History is not available. I was looking for it right up here where they used to have that as a choice in the metadata card. So right now it looks like history is missing. Let's see what Analyze does. Yeah, history is not available at this point. Good question. Are there any other questions out there? Silence is acceptance. Again, I want to talk about if a feature is missing that you need, and MFiles is aware of that. Actually, one of the documents that I can share with you is showing the features that are currently in the classic view and features that are currently in the new interface. It'll actually show you where there are gaps, and MFiles is working to fill that gaps. That's why they went with this approach, allowing you to be able to control if you're in the new or the classic interface inside of MFiles. So please remember when you click back to old, excuse me, you are presented with a feedback window. Provide feedback to MFiles so they can make the best interface for you. What I'd like to do, we'll go back to our PowerPoint here, check to see if there's any other questions. There is not. Again, if you would like to learn more and you want to understand how to set up that new protocol, please put your first and last name in the chat window along with your email address. And after today's event, I will send you an email with more information from MFiles on the new interface. Okay, that concludes today's session. The next session is going to be December 17th. The topic right now is open. I'm sort of waiting to see what the next release brings from MFiles, and that happens later this week or next week when MFiles does their automatic release. So scan the QR code. That will take you to the Marcos website where you can register as well as seeing what will be talked about next month on December 17th. At the end of today's webinar, please take a moment to complete the questionnaire or evaluation to let us know how we did and what topics that you would like to see in the next MFiles Quick Tips. On behalf of Marco, on behalf of myself, I would like to thank you for attending today's MFiles Quick Tips. Have a great day. Bye-bye.